The following is a presentation of the BellyUpSports Media Network.
The ball sends it over to Edward Robles. Goal! Insert name FC! Let's go! Insert name FC!
What is up, everybody? My name is Hector Flores, host of the Insert Name FC podcast, a member of the BellyUpSports Media Network. You can find us on all things podcasting, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasting from, you'll find us there. Also, check us out on YouTube. Thank you for everyone that has subscribed to the YouTube channel. We're still trying to grow that platform out. We've gotten significant numbers, but still, we always love to grow. You can have the audio version of the podcast and video clips from these recordings in video form. So if you guys want a little bit shorter form content, the video versions are available, as well as on not only on YouTube, but also on GolzTV. GolzTV is a streaming platform for all things soccer content here in the U.S. and some international. So a lot of great American sports soccer content over there at GolzTV. So glz.tv, that's where you can find us as well. So go ahead and check them out. But yes, we are back to scheduled programming. This episode is going to be maybe a little bit on the lengthier side, but it is because there will be no headlines. There will be no talking of transfers, but not full transfer discussions, but no players of the week, none of that, because all this episode will be is one, recapping the Olympics. So we'll recap the Olympics for you guys, so you guys know what happened. We're going to preview Premier League, La Liga, Serie, and Ligue 1. Next week we'll do the Bundesliga because the Bundesliga doesn't start till another week. So we'll preview the Bundesliga next episode. And that episode will be back to regular schedule programming, headlines, all that stuff. So like I said, this year I want to start having an off-season period for us here at Insert Name FC. Obviously it is a bit of workload sometimes, and you never know with people's scheduling. So I thought that having a summer break, still cover the tournaments, but kind of doing it in the way that we did it this year, I felt like was the right way to go. So that will be the plan from here on out, how we handle the off season for us. But yes, aside from that, man, so this episode, like I said, probably is going to be a little lengthy just because of previewing the leagues, but should be a good episode for you guys, for us to get back. Once again, like I said, this episode is going to be what it is, just straightforward. But next week we'll go back into headlines, players of the week. We will do transfer talk because obviously we're still in the transfer window, so we will do all those things. But yeah, man, it's all I really got, man. So we'll go ahead and take a break, and then we'll go right into our recap of the 2024 Paris Olympics in the football portion.
Hey everyone, it's Ryan from No Credentials Required to talk to you about one of our newest partners at BellyUpSports, SeatGeek. Yeah, live sports is great on television, but the feeling of being at the arena is a priceless experience. That's why our friends at SeatGeek are there to help you find the best tickets at the best prices. Not only can you get tickets to sporting events, but you can also get tickets to concerts, comedy shows, musicals, and more. Search for your desired event now at SeatGeek.com, enter promo code BellyUpSports at checkout, and you save $20 off your first purchase. SeatGeek. Life's an event. We have the tickets.
All right, guys, the 2024 Olympics has concluded, and I'll actually say this will be all the men and women will be jumbled in together. And so three takeaways since it's just me, it's not Kelsey or Jose or Edward on this one. Three takeaways that I took from the Olympics. Um, Number one is uh I mean France France is not the only powerhouse in Europe. I think that's the one of the big takeaways that we took from this tournament. France, who had a very strong team in this Olympics, I mean, made it all the way to the gold medal match. Our medalists, the men's team, are brought a very strong team. But from what we took from not only this but also the Euro is that it isn't going to be as easy as everyone thinks it is for France, even with the world class players that they have. That there is a lot of quality in UEFA specifically, and I think that a lot of people there are thinking that it's very easy to just put all their money on France to win every tournament, even though an amazing 2022 World Cup where they made it back-to-back appearances in the World Cup final. Didn't win it, but still impressive nonetheless. And just once again, there's no concern of who's going to take over because there's a lot of talent. Even in this U23 team that they feature for the Olympics, that it is a very promising national team, but it is not necessarily the only powerhouse in Europe. And I think that I think this was a very humbling slumber for France, and I think it was needed. That it's not going to just be a lock for France for any of their tournaments that they're going to be featured in. Like it's not going to be an easy tournament. And I mean, that's kind of the beauty of international tournaments as well. It's not always the best team on paper that wins the entire tournament. It does often happen, but it is not guaranteed. So I think that that's one thing that we need to take away from that. Number two takeaway that I'm gonna say is Morocco is going to be the new powerhouse in Africa. I mean, they've kind of shown to be a powerhouse now, but I think especially with a lot of players that are switching over to Morocco, obviously Brahim Diaz, one of the names to think of, but there is a lot of top class talent coming from Morocco, and I think what we saw in the Olympics, finishing with a bronze medal, should tell people that Morocco is very much here to stay. I think obviously people could say some things for Egypt, and obviously Senegal is going to be a name that everyone's going to also mention, and Nigeria as well. But I think Morocco definitely has an interesting unit, and I think with the world class talent that's coming from Morocco, Morocco is going to be a team that people are going to have to pay some attention to in these next coming tournaments. So I can't wait for it. But that's my second takeaway. And number one is USA women are just them. They are them 100%. USA women, battled it through. Alyssa Nair, she is a fucking goat. Obviously, with all that happened with Hope Solo, which I'm not gonna lie, whenever that documentary drops for Hope Solo, I might have a portion of the episode dedicated to that because that is a very interesting story that happened with the U.S. Women's National Team. But for all that drama to happen with Hope Solo and for Alyssa Nair just to come in and step in to be the starting goalkeeper and being as great as she's been since taking over. But USA, I mean, that front three of Trinity Rodman, Sophie Smith, and Swanson, whew, that is a scary front three. That it's gonna be fun. It is going to be fun if you're a U.S. Women's National Team fan, maybe not a USMNT fan, but if you are a fan of this USA Women's Team, they're just getting started. That's all I gotta say about this USA Women's National Team. There will come the next World Cup. I think USA is still going to be the heavy favorites, and it's just because of the talent that team has. Great job for the USA as far as the women's part. But on the flip, before I talk more about it, let's talk about the men's national team. And I'll say this: the men's national team, I would say, was not as bad. It was not that bad. it's disappointing that we don't have. I don't think there was much expectation from this roster. I mean, Taylor Booth was a name that it did intrigue me. Um, Schulte, I would say, did not really disappoint me. I think he performed fairly well. I think I do think that it was kind of a bonehead decision to pick Miles Robinson and Zimmerman, Walker Zimmerman to be your two of your three over 23 players. Mihalovic, I'm fine with. I know a lot of people have been throwing some hate on Mihalovic, but I think as far as depth goes, I think he's not a bad option. I know that he's going to be competing with the likes of Luca Del Torre. Um, I personally feel that Johnny Cardozo should be starting for the U.S. men's national team now, but obviously with Tyler Adams. But I think the midfield it's a very deep competition there. But I do think Jordi Mihalovic definitely has put a good name for himself to at least be considered in that midfield. Obviously, it depends on what the formation and the tactics are. Because the reason why I say it may be is just the fact that when you have guys like Gio Reyna and Malik Tillman who are playing the 10 role, it's kind of hard to validate Mihalovic. But I think Mihalovic has definitely given him some stock into why he could be a good depth piece for the U.S. men's national team. Schulte, I think, in my opinion, did a really good, like I said, did a good job to some extent. Matt Turner is on a very, very short leash at this point. I think the goalkeeper role is going to be a lot more interesting in the years that in this year, just to see if there's anyone that can jump over Matt Turner, because especially if Matt Turner does not go somewhere where he's going to play. It's going to hurt him a lot. Schulte has definitely gotten a lot of looks. I think Gaga Slonina making the move to English One, to the League One, is a good move for him. He's going to get a lot of minutes. It's a good league to develop in. I know a lot of people are hating, but this kid's young. Like, I mean, like for me, goalkeepers, I don't really necessarily feel like they're ready to go to like mid-20s. So I mean, he still has a lot to learn. I don't think necessarily that we need a young goalkeeper. We just need an established savvy vet. Someone that gets playing time. And like I said, Matt Turner, who used to be the odds-on favorite, it's not looking that good for him right now, especially if he's not being able to go, especially if he's not in a place where he can get playing time. And I think that's a big thing that needs to happen for Matt Turner this season, is to go somewhere. Either he gets minutes at Nottingham, or he goes somewhere he's going to get minutes. And for his sake, because his stock is going down. Schulte's stock has risen. Because I'll say this, the blowouts from Morocco and France, to me, those were also defensive issues. And like I said, Walker Zimmerman and Miles Robinson, which I wouldn't have many issues if they just grabbed one of the two, but not both of them. Because like I said, I gotta see some other center backs. Like I said, I was really disappointed that we didn't get any of our U23 eligible players in this. And I understand that it could be a club thing, but I mean, Argentina was able to get Julian Alvarez. Morocco got Hakimi to be the captain of the team. France had Olise and well, I don't think Olise was one of the overage players, but anyways, you get my drift. Like they were able to get players, and it's just kind of disappointing that we didn't get any guys. Fermin Lopez and Julian Alvarez both competed in their respective tournaments and are playing in the Olympics. So I think that it is disappointing that the U.S. didn't at least try to feature Gio Reyna, try to feature Yunus Musa, try to feature any of our regular guys, because I feel like that could have maybe could change things a little bit. I don't think it changes it drastically, but I feel like we should have been a little bit more aggressive and made the Olympics a little bit more of a statement, because like I said, I know this is I'm reaching now because this is the first the first appearance in a long time for the U.S. men, but still, like, I mean, when you have the U.S. women's national team doing what they're doing, men's basketball, women's basketball, doing their things, the gymnastics team, all the women's swimming team, all of them doing their thing, and knowing that we have players that are much better than the guys that we called up. I know that it's a lot of young players, and I know keep going back to that part, but it just would have been nice to have seen what we could see from this what really we could have seen from a U.S. men's team, given that we actually used our players that were eligible, and obviously it also goes back to the clubs. The clubs allow these players to go, but uh, I feel like we should at least have tried. I like I said, my complaint about the U23, the overage players that we chose, which Mihalovic I was fine with. Walker Zimmerman and Miles Robinson, to me, I feel like we should only grab one of the two. Um, I'm fine not grabbing a goalkeeper. I'm actually 100% happy that we didn't go get Ethan Horvath or we didn't get Matt Turner, because I needed to see Schulte and Slanina compete for that spot. But yeah, I feel like maybe adding another midfielder, maybe a winger, maybe a striker, would have changed this team drastically. But yeah, I feel like we probably could have done better with the overage player selection. Because we gotta find out what we have out there. Like the fact that we had Miles Robinson and Walker Zimmerman, like I said, we didn't get to know what center backs we have available for depth for the U.S. men's national team. So that's a big concern for me. But all in all, I think they beat who they were supposed to beat, and they beat them soundly. Like you're supposed to beat New Zealand, you're supposed to beat Guinea. I didn't expect them to beat France. Honestly, a 3-0 loss to France is actually pretty impressive because it could have probably been a lot more. Especially the first half, they were very competitive in the first half. In the second half, it just, Pandora's box opened. But and then in the Morocco game, like I said, it's the same thing. We were just outclassed by Morocco. I mean, Morocco had the leading goal scorer, so, but yeah, there's that. So those are my takeaways in U.S. men's national team talk. So the winner. So the final for the women's competition, the third place match was between Germany and Spain. Germany did win to clinch the bronze medal. Spain's women's team, man, that's another talking point when we're talking Spain. Not only has it been a great run for Spain's men's team, but a women's team as well. You know, obviously World Cup winners. Were very impressive in the women's Euro. Um, semifinalists in the Olympics. So Spain powerhouse, but Germany ends up getting the bronze medal. USA ends up defeating Brazil 1-0. Obviously a very emotional day. This was, I believe, Marta's final appearance for Brazil. But USA, being able to prove who they are, and continuing and just staying the course for what this U.S. women's team is going to be. I think the future of USA women is going to be a very, very exciting time period for sure. And then in the men's competition, Morocco beat the living shit out of Egypt 6-0 to get third place. Yeah, it wasn't even close. I believe Morocco lost to Spain 2-1. So, which, I mean, the final though, highest goal scoring final in the Olympics history. So that was super impressive. Definitely like to hear that. It was a really great match. I was able to watch the last minutes of the second half and then get to watch extra time. It was a really good performance by both France and Spain, but Spain was just clearly just the better team. And I mean, yeah, Spain winners 5-3. Gold medalists France are, and I mean, we're really like, this is going to the fine details between Spain and France, but it is going to be a fun rivalry to watch Spain and France go at it against each other. Because their generations of players are just going to continue. Spain has a lot of exciting young players, also mostly from Barcelona, but still a lot of interesting talent. So yeah, congratulations to Spain for winning the men's competition gold medalist, and the USA women's national team for being gold medalists for the women's football portion. All in all, man, I like the Olympics, bro. I love watching these games because obviously the medal count helps for the country as a whole. Um, but it's just something about representing your country. And I know that like these aren't FIFA sanctioned matches, but still it was pretty fun to watch. It was interesting to see different countries that I've never seen before. You know, watching Uzbekistan and Iraq, and even though they didn't necessarily do fairly well, but but then also, you know, seeing the boldness in Japan, you know, right? To go in without a single overage player and winning their group. By the way, very interesting to see how they perform, especially against the likes of Mali. Um, Dominican Republic, man. I mean, Egypt, bro. Egypt won their group, which was with Spain. You know, Argentina had some great flashes. You know, all in all, I think a really good tournament. It was really cool seeing different countries and compete. And yeah, man, I can't wait for the Olympics. The next Olympics will be here in the U.S. actually. So get ready for 2028 when the Olympics are in Los Angeles, and hopefully we see U.S. soccer being represented in both competitions yet again. So that's all I really have to say about it. But great tournament. Can't wait for the next Olympics. But obviously now all focus is going into the 2026 FIFA World Cup, and I definitely can't wait for that. But all right, we're gonna go ahead and take a break, and then we'll go right into our preview for League One. Hey guys, this is Hector from the Insert Name FC podcast, here to tell you guys about Canada Dips. It is a great tasting, superior alternative to traditional dip using CBD in a way that is radical, enjoyable, and effective. It comes in 5 core flavors: wintergreen, mint, citrus, mango, and American spice. Canada Dip CBD is the new evolution in dip, allowing guys to enjoy great, long-lasting taste without the downsides. If you guys want to go ahead and try them out, use the code BellyUp20 at CanadaDipCBD.com. Once again, BellyUp20 at CanadaDipCBD.com, and you'll get yourself 20% off your purchase. Thank you again for Canada Dips for being a great partner of BellyUpSports. All right, League One kicks off this weekend, so we're going to go ahead and let you guys know who is competing in this whole shebang. And we'll start things off with the teams that are going to be featured in this year. The 18 teams are, because now it's 18 teams in Ligue 1, is Angers, Auxerre, Brest, Le Havre, Lens, Lille, Olympique Lyon, Olympique Marseille, Monaco, Montpellier, Nantes, Nice, PSG or Paris Saint-Germain, Reims, Stade Rennes, Saint Etienne, Strasbourg, and Toulouse. So storylines to talk about here is, well, first off is the new faces. We have Angers, Auxerre, and Saint Etienne being featured this season, all getting promoted from League 2. So it's going to be interesting to see how they perform in League 1 this year. Can they stay afloat, or will they be getting sent back down to League 2? So that is the three new teams that are going to be featured in League 1 this season. One of the big storylines that I want to start off with is Roberto De Zerbi going to Olympique Marseille. Obviously, everybody knows that he did a really good job with Brighton, a team that did very well with buying low and selling high with a lot of their players. Obviously McAllister is a name that everybody thinks of, but ends up leaving Brighton. A lot of people were expecting him to take one of these big, huge jobs like a Liverpool, like a Barcelona. A lot of names were thrown in for Zerbi, but he ended up not getting in those jobs and ends up coming in to take over Olympique Marseille, a team that is normally really good in Ligue 1. It took a huge dip this past season. Can De Zerbi bring in his philosophy and maybe some of the things that he's learned from Brighton and apply it to Olympique Marseille to be more competitive this season in Ligue 1? So that's definitely a good one to follow up on this year, is Roberto De Zerbi with his version of Olympique Marseille. Brest is a team to follow up from last year. Obviously did very well past season, got a Champions League spot. So we'll see how they handle a Ligue 1 season along with Coupe de France, but now see how they handle with the Champions League. How they approach it? Do they sign some players? What exactly is the plan for Brest to go in this Ligue 1 season? And of course, the big one is Paris Saint-Germain with no Mbappe. The trident that once was Lionel Messi, Mbappe, and Neymar is no more. Even Angel Di Maria is no more. So how does PSG recover from that? Who steps up? Who takes up the mantle that Mbappe had over at PSG? Obviously, it's PSG. They have a shit ton of money. They're gonna go and spend what they need to spend to get a replacement for Mbappe. And they're in a league that isn't necessarily difficult for them to win. They've won without Mbappe before. They could probably win it again, depending on who they sign. But I do think that the competition has gotten a lot better from the initial years of Ligue 1. But we'll see how PSG adapts to life with no Mbappe, especially when they let Mbappe go for nothing because his contract ran out. Which is probably the biggest fumble for PSG, is not profiting over arguably one of the best players in the world right now in Kylian Mbappe. But we'll see how that goes for PSG this season. The team to watch for me this season is going to be Olympique Lyon. I obviously, I made a jersey bet with them. I lost embarrassingly from that jersey bet, but yes, we have to see what happens with Olympique Lyon, how they bounce back into the season. They definitely had one hell of a bounce back from being relegated bound to in a European competition spot. So we'll see what exactly Lyon plans on doing to improve their team and get back into the discussion for a Champions League spot and probably try to compete for a Ligue 1 title. So that's my team to watch. My player to watch, I'm gonna go with Gonzalo Ramos from PSG. I think obviously the big thing is gonna be who takes over. As far as the goal score goes for Mbappe, Gonzalo Ramos took a huge dip last year after having a very impressive World Cup and impressive season with Benfica. Can he take that next step and be the guy once again? And I mean, everything points to me that maybe we'll see something from Gonzalo Ramos, so that's going to be my player to watch. And my favorite to win it is going to be PSG. Until proven differently, I don't see a single team out there that can necessarily tell me that they're going to out. Until proven differently, PSG is going to be the heavy favorite for me. Even with the loss of Mbappe, I think they'll still have a very deep squad and do what they do best, and that's win Ligue 1. So, can I see somebody compete with them? Probably, but I just don't see anybody winning the league right now. No, I don't think any. I mean, maybe if we see Roberto De Zerbi do some amazing things with Martial, maybe they're the ones to keep an eye on. But I think PSG is going. I think that Martial has a lot to build on before they can even be considered in that conversation for Roberto De Zerbi. So yeah, PSG to me is the favorite to win it. So that's Ligue 1. We'll go ahead and segue on to the Serie A. All right, the Serie A, man, the teams that are going to be featured in this season's Serie A is going to be AC Milan, Atalanta, Bologna, Cagliari, Como, Empoli, Fiorentina, Genoa, Hellas Verona, Inter Milan, Juventus, Lazio, Lecce, Monza, Napoli, Parma, Roma, Torino, Udinese, and Venezia. New faces for this one is Venezia making their return, Parma making their return to the Serie A, and Como, who is going to be a very interesting team, featuring the leadership of Cesc Fabregas. They did go ahead and sign Rafael Varane to be the leader in that back line, and of course, some noted names, but obviously being led by Cesc Fabregas, who led this team to their promotion. So I think a lot of eyes are going to be on Como, see what they do to stay afloat in the Serie A this season. Probably the big storyline, some of the big teams in Serie A having some new faces as far as managers go. Antonio Conte taking over Napoli, Obviously, how we know this guy knows how to compete in this league. He's won the league with every team that at least recently with every team that he's coached. Obviously, Inter Milan and Juventus. So we'll see what he can do with Napoli to make them a competitive team in the Serie A. Thiago Motta leaving his job to come and take over Juventus. Obviously, a high pressure job, but we'll see how Motta what he plans on doing to resurrect this Juventus team. I don't really think there's much that needs to be changed with Juventus. I think maybe just a new tactics, a new mindset could probably easily change this team because the team's very loaded. So I think that Juventus is probably a team to watch this year and see how Thiago Motta what he plans on applying to this team. And Paulo Fonseca is the new manager for AC Milan. AC Milan getting better and better each season. Obviously, we're close, but no cigar last year to Inter Milan. So maybe a new face, new approach. Hopefully this doesn't hurt Christian Pulisic and Yunus Musa in any way. Hopefully this, we'll see Pulisic still being a key piece for AC Milan. But yeah, so three names to keep an eye on, especially for the big clubs in Europe as far as managers go. David De Gea going to Fiorentina. He took a year break off. Some people were hoping he was going to go to the MLS. Me, I just didn't think it was going to happen. And here it is as to why he is going to Fiorentina, a team that I would say keep a close eye. I know that they're probably not done on getting players. Fiorentina, another team that has gotten significantly better over the past couple of years, and see how they plan on improving this team to be competitive in the Serie A. So can't wait to see what happens over there with David De Gea over there in Fiorentina. And the final storyline is Bologna. Bologna having a very impressive season, qualified for Champions League this year, but they did lose some players, lots of significant players, and also lost their manager in Thiago Motta. So I would hope that they're going to still be competitive, but something tells me with adding the things that come in with Serie A, which is the Coppa Italia, the Serie A, and then throwing Champions League in the mix, it's going. Hopefully, I'm hoping that Bologna stays competitive, but part of me thinks that we're probably not going to see them in that upper part of the at least in the Champions League side. Hopefully, we'll see them in Europa League or well, I don't know if Europa Conference League is going to be a thing this year, but I would just want to see Bologna in here. I still want them in the mix, but we'll see what happens with them. It's unfortunate that this is what happens with these clubs that are kind of considered mid-table, find their form, and players start getting plucked out, coaches start getting plucked out, and it's up to them to how they recover. So we'll see what happens, man. The team to watch for me this season is going to be Fiorentina. It's been a team that I've been keeping an eye on quite a while this time. I'm interested in what they're doing. I know there's rumors that potentially they're going after Weston McKennie from Juventus. Another year where Weston McKennie is being rumored to be out of Juventus. Obviously, you're adding a new coach. Maybe he doesn't necessarily value Weston McKennie. And so, we'll see what happens with McKennie. But hopefully he goes to Fiorentina. I know the rumor for him so far has been, FC Cincinnati. I really do not want that to be the case. But if he does go to Fiorentina, it does give me another reason to want to go ahead and watch Fiorentina play because, like I said, they're getting better and better. David De Gea is a huge upgrade. So my team to watch for sure is Fiorentina. My player to watch this season, I can go different routes here, but I'm gonna stick being an American. I'm gonna go with Christian Pulisic. Obviously, this is gonna be an interesting year, new coach. Does he value Christian Pulisic as the previous coach did? It's gonna be a story to watch, but hopefully he sees the value in Christian Pulisic and they keep riding with it, and hopefully Pulisic takes that next step over there with AC Milan. And my favorite to win the league this year. The thing is I just don't feel like anybody has done anything significant, like impactful as far as like the heavy favorites goes. So I could see honestly uh, a repeat for Inter Milan. I think Inter Milan still a very strong unit. I don't think they've done any changes drastically yet, but I haven't seen any other team do anything drastic just yet as far as signings goes. Obviously, I'm looking at Juventus, AC Milan, uh, to discuss that part, but I don't think that they necessarily have done anything too crazy yet. So as far as I know, I feel like Inter Milan is still very much a very strong team, and I think that they could go. I see a repeat happening for Inter Milan, so that's my favorite to win the Serie A this season. Um, yeah, man, I'm excited, man. Serie A has gotten better and better each year, and it's because the big clubs are finally being competitive. It's not just a one team race. So hopefully it's gonna stay like that for this season. So so there is that. So we'll go ahead and segue on over to La Liga.
Righteous Felon Craft Jerky is the official jerky of Belly Up Sports. For over a decade, Righteous Felon Craft Jerky has led the American meat snack revolution by concocting delicious, adventurous, U.S.-sourced jerky recipes for uncompromising carnivores across the country. With 15 different flavors to choose from, Righteous Felon has all jerky lovers covered, and by using promo code BELLYUP, you will get 15% off your purchase at RighteousFelon.com. Do your taste buds a favor today and rip into a bag of Righteous Felon Jerky.
All right, guys, my personal favorite league, La Liga, kicks off this weekend, and I can't wait. Actually, technically kicks off on Thursday, but I can't wait to see how this league goes. The teams that are featured in this year's La Liga is Alaves, Atletico Bilbao, Atletico Madrid, Barcelona, Celta Vigo, Espanyol, Getafe, Girona, Las Palmas, Leganes, Mallorca, Osasuna, Rayo Vallecano, Real Betis, Real Madrid, Real Sociedad, Sevilla, Valencia, Real Valladolid, and Villarreal. The new faces for this season are Espanyol, Leganes, and Real Valladolid. So, and honestly, I'm very intrigued by Leganes. If you guys don't know, I'm from Houston, Texas. I'm a Houston Astros fan. And if you guys know anything about the Astros besides the stupid cheating scandal, Jeff Lunau was the reason for the Astros success that it is now. He took over as general manager, rebuilt the entire structure of the Astros, built the farm system. So now that was at one point was one of the strongest farm systems in all baseball. But obviously the Astros won the 2017 World Series. Say what you want to say about 2017. I don't care at this point. Move on. It's been 4 years. It's been 7 years now. Get the fuck over it. But obviously because of that 2017 scandal, he ended up getting fired by the Houston Astros as well as AJ Hinch. And after that, he decided to take on the world of football, which I just found out that this dude was born in Mexico, so he's Mexican, even though his parents are from America, but he is a Mexican by birth. So yeah, Jeff Lunau, he also owns a team in Mexico. It's Cancun, but he also is the president of the board of Leganes, and he has implemented his system. The systems that he's applied over in MLB, he's also applied in football. In Leganes, I mean, they got promoted, so it's going to be interesting to see how they do this year in La Liga. And Cancun, they just won recently a trophy as well. So can this form continue? Can Jeff Lunau do enough to keep Leganes in La Liga, and maybe one day we'll see them competing in La Liga? So I'm very much intrigued by Leganes because of Jeff Lunau. Jeff Lunau means a lot to the city of Houston. If you guys didn't know too much about the Astros, but there is that. So the storylines that I want to follow, man, Hansi Flick taking over Barcelona. Barcelona, obviously, everybody knows their financial situation. They almost had to do some maneuvering to get Hansi Flick his salary, but it's a very interesting situation for Barcelona because I do say with the addition of Hansi Flick taking over as manager of Barcelona, and this is the only way I can see this working out for Barcelona. So, I mean, I've been very adamant that I don't think Hansi Flick is a good fit for Barcelona. But if Hansi Flick is able to apply his system, his tactics, which unfortunately I think marks the end of tiki-taka, at least the old Barca way of tiki-taka, I think that we're probably going to move on from that. If Hansi Flick is able to apply his system, and I think that there is some beneficiaries to that. I think Robert Lewandowski, some of his best performance, his best year was with Hansi Flick's system. So I think that could probably rejuvenate Robert Lewandowski, and so that could be a big positive for him. I think the addition of Dani Olmo with Lamine Yamal, potentially Nico Williams, could be huge for Barcelona. And I think that would work towards Hansi Flick's tactics. I think Dani Olmo, in some sense, is like what Thomas Mueller was for Hansi Flick in Bayern Munich. So I think that 10 spot could be very crucial, and I think Dani Olmo is probably the right guy for the job. So like I said, if this team is bought into what Hansi Flick is going to do, Hansi Flick by no means is the type of guy that would stick to the Barca way, but I think I think that's what Barcelona is trying to do, is kind of move on from that, or it seems like it. You don't sign Hansi Flick if you're not prepared to accept that. So it's gonna be interesting to see what we see from this Hansi Flick era. Obviously, all the jokes about the fitness of the team is going to be out of this world, but I think the tactics that we're going to see from Hansi Flick could be very beneficial. Barcelona still isn't perfect by all means, but I think if they're able to use the tactics, I think that there's certain players that could benefit to the style of what Hansi Flick wants to do at Barcelona. But I do say having a 10 is going to be pivotal for Hansi Flick's system. And I think Dani Olmo, even Ilkay Gundogan are going to be big beneficiaries of that approach, having more of a significant role in Barca's attack. So I'm very intrigued by Barcelona. I hate that I'm hyping Barcelona this much as a Madrista, but obviously, I have to see this as unbiased as I can. But Barcelona is going to be intriguing to watch this year. Seeing how they handle their financial struggles and seeing how much they're going to let Hansi Flick apply his system, which I think that we're talking about not necessarily the end of tiki-taka, but it's going to be the new evolution of steering from tiki-taka. Like, it's going to be through balls, through the wings, things of that nature, pace, which, like I said, it's not necessarily what Barcelona's style is, but maybe it's time for an update for Barcelona's approach on tactics. Kylian Mbappe going to Real Madrid obviously is the next thing to talk about, man. Obviously, it's finally happening. He's here. His role is still, to me, kind of a question mark. I don't know what exactly is he going to be playing. Is he going to be a 9 or is he going to be on the wings? So that is one of my questions. Who's the odd man out as far as the attack goes? Are we going to see Mbappe playing as the 9 with Vinicius and Rodrigo on the wings? And are we going to see a midfield of Jude Bellingham, Camavinga or Tchouaméni, depending on who you like at the 6th spot, and Federico Valverde. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this team is. I do think Luka Modric is going to be coming off the bench this year. I more so than not, maybe have sometimes starting, but I think that we're going to see him mostly on the bench this year. But Kylian Mbappe, how they use him, how they implement him, is going to be very interesting to watch this year. I can't wait to see that. But as a Madrid, obviously, but we'll see how strong this Real Madrid team is now that they came off a year winning the Champions League, winning La Liga. We'll see what happens when you add arguably one of the best players in the world in Kylian Mbappe, and how does that impact the team as far as who's going to be the odd man out. That is for sure. And then the other thing I want to talk about, man, is Atletico Madrid has somehow sneakingly has been making some moves, man. They go and get Gallagher from Chelsea. They go and get I don't know if it's official yet or not, but Julian Alvarez is set to be going to Atletico Madrid. You add him, add Gallagher into the mix. Um, it's very interesting to see what exactly the approach is on the attack. João Felix looks to be all in for Atletico Madrid this year. So, we'll see what happens, man. I think Atletico Madrid is going to be a very it's going to be interesting what they do because obviously Atletico Madrid's got to do what they need to do to compete with Barcelona and Real Madrid. I think Julian Alvarez is a huge addition. Obviously, he's trying to prove himself, and I think he's going into a place where I think he's gonna flourish very well. I think we're gonna see where we're gonna get where Griezmann's gonna be on in the field as well. It's gonna be interesting to watch. Just in general, just see how this team how this team gets constructed by Diego Simeone. So we'll see. But Atletico Madrid is going to be a very interesting team in this season. The team to watch this season for me is going to be Leganes. I said all I needed to say, but I just want to see how Jeff Luna how he approaches La Liga. It's a different competition. The competition is a lot higher. So how does he adapt to? How does he get Leganes to adapt to this league, and what they do to stay afloat is going to be my reasons to watch Leganes this year. Player to watch this season, I'm gonna just say it is Julian Alvarez. I want to see. Okay. Caveat: if he actually does get, like I said, I don't know if it's official or yet, but if Julian Alvarez does go to Atletico Madrid, I will say Julian Alvarez is the player to watch, see how he does. But if not, I'm still gonna stick with Atletico Madrid. I'm gonna say João Felix. João Felix needs to prove his doubters wrong. He needs to have a solid season with Atletico Madrid and finally be the kid that we all were hoping he's going to be. So hopefully we can see it over there in Atletico Madrid. So those are, I guess, two players to keep an eye on, but both from Atletico Madrid. My favorite to win it, honestly, man, this could be one of those weird years where Atletico Madrid wins the league. I don't know why. I think Real Madrid is the clear-cut favorite, and I'm gonna say Real Madrid is my favorite to win it, but I don't know. Something tells me it's just gonna be one of those weird ass years because I can see where there is going to be a weird shift, right, with Real Madrid of how they handle Mbappe and Vinicius and Rodrigo and all the big names that are coming in. I feel like there's going to be at least a few rough periods, right? And I could be wrong. I'm still going to tell you that my favorite is Real Madrid. On paper, they're by all the favorites, but I also can sense one of those weird years where Atletico Madrid just finds a way to win games, and I think that could be a possibility. So my favorite is Real Madrid, but I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised if this is one of those one-off years where we do see Atletico Madrid win the league. But I still think Real Madrid by far is still the better team amongst La Liga. So that is La Liga. All right. We'll head on to the Premier League. All right. In the Premier League this year, these are the teams that are competing in the Premier League: Arsenal, Aston Villa, Bournemouth, Brentford, Brighton and Hove Albion, Chelsea, Crystal Palace, Everton, Fulham, Ipswich Town, Leicester City, Liverpool, Manchester City, Manchester United, Newcastle United, Nottingham Forest, Southampton, Tottenham, West Ham United, and Wolverhampton. The new faces in the Premier League this year is Ipswich Town, Leicester City, and Southampton. Those are the new teams. Obviously, Leicester City got relegated the year before, gets promoted, strongly wins the league, and are back, and probably decently strong. They did lose their coach, Enzo Maresca, who is going to Chelsea this year, is taking over Chelsea this season, but so we'll see how Leicester performs. They still have some quality players. Ipswich Town is a team that's going to be interesting to watch just because of the fact that it's been so long since Ipswich Town has been in the Premier League. And Southampton, it's a team that revolves. It's just a constant revolving door in the league. But Those are the new faces. Storylines for me, man, it's the Aston Villa follow-up, man. Aston Villa coming off of a very interesting season where they did get a Champions League spot. What do they do to maintain that? What do they do to keep where they are? I think that's going to be a very interesting story for this season. Can they keep up? They still have Unai Emery, but now Champions League in the mix. We'll see where Aston Villa is at in the league, in the Premier League this year. So new coaches for some big teams, man. We got Arne Slot going to Liverpool. Not necessarily a big club, but a team that has high aspirations, but they win and got a very interesting name. Is West Ham getting Julian Lopetegui? The Spanish manager is taking over West Ham United. David Moyes' contract is up, and so now Lopetegui is taking over. And of course, I mentioned earlier, Enzo Maresca going to take over Chelsea. Chelsea is kind of doing a little fire sale in the works, also still buying players. We'll see what happens, man. Chelsea's just kind of a weird dumpster fire in some sense. And the final storyline that I'm going to keep an eye on is Sandro Tonali making his return August 27th. So he still has to finish his suspension that he got for gambling. Though I do believe he's set to get an additional 2-month suspension, but I believe that suspension will be he will be serving his punishment in the off season. So at the end of the season, he'll be serving his additional 2-month suspension because apparently he got caught gambling again. So, but Sandro Tonali, obviously everyone's intrigued. Obviously he did an amazing job over at AC Milan. Strong player, was even the captain of AC Milan before he got sent to Newcastle United. But we'll see how he finally gets to play in Newcastle United and see how pivotal of a player he'll be for Newcastle, and can he keep the team. Without him, even without him, they made it to Champions League the previous year, but they're hoping to see Sandro Tonali doing well for Newcastle, and hopefully Newcastle can be back in the conversation this season. Team to watch. Honestly, I'm gonna try to keep my Arsenal bias away from this. I'm gonna say Chelsea, man. And the reason why is obviously just since taking over, since Bolly took over this team, it has just been rough. So, I feel like this is gonna be a real, make it or break it kind of thing for Todd Bolly, because at this point, I don't know, man. Sell the fucking team. I don't really know what else to tell you. So we need to see what what Chelsea can do. Can they be competitive? Can they get into a competition? Can they get themselves in competition? Can they win a trophy this year? That's going to be the question. Is Enzo Maresca the guy? Those are all the questions that we're going to be needing answers to for Chelsea this season. So they're definitely a team to watch. Player to watch this season. It's weird because there's not enough names, man. But I'm gonna go with Erling Haaland. I think Erling Haaland. I don't necessarily think he took a dip by any means, but he got a lot of he got called out a lot. They called him a League 2 striker, that he's only pacey and can score tap-ins. He can't create his own goals. Blah blah blah. I think Erling Haaland is still a phenomenal goal scorer. I think he's a freak of an athlete. But he definitely needs to be able to show up in the big games. And I think that's going to be something that needs to be seen. I think Man City is still a very strong team in the league, in the Premier League. I think that they're going to be a team that is going to be competitive with or without Erling Haaland. But I think that you went all out to bring out Erling Haaland because of what he can do as far as a goal scorer goes. And we need him to have one of those big years, especially if, Kylian Mbappe is able to do his thing in Real Madrid, because I would argue that these two are probably going to be the ones that everyone's hoping to be the ones competing for Ballon d'Ors for many years to come. Though I think it's a very open challenge for anybody that's young to compete for a Ballon d'Or. But I think my player to watch this year is going to be Erling Haaland. Can he finally do the step up? Can he not disappear in a big match kind of thing? So we'll see how that goes for him. And then my favorite to win the league, I want to say it's Arsenal's year, but I don't know, man. To me, I don't think that there's many teams have, at least the contenders for the Premier League. I don't think they've done enough to make me feel like they overthrow Manchester City. If like Manchester City goes in a rut of form, maybe someone can capitalize on it. But I until proven differently, I think same thing. Manchester City is just a unit, man. Yes, if they do lose Julian Alvarez, that's a big loss. But I believe they got Savio from Girona and their whole shenanigans way of getting players from the Man City group. It all means if they do lose on Julian Alvarez, they'll just pick up a Savio. So yeah, this team is just loaded, man. I just don't necessarily see anybody overtake them just yet. I think Arsenal's really close. They're still missing some pieces for me before I can really like say that they're going to be the heavy favorites. And we're talking about heavy favorite. We're not talking about who I would like to see win it, but who I think is the heavy favorite to win it. I mean, obviously Liverpool's going to compete. I think Arsenal's going to compete. I think Manchester United is also going to be an interesting team to watch this year. Obviously they're committed to Ten Hag. Will that pay off for them this season? So yeah, I mean, until proven differently, I think it's Man City. It's Man City all the way. So I'm sorry, but I want to pick somebody else. I want to. I don't want to pick Man City, but is there anybody out there that you feel can compete with them? I just don't have that person in mind. So there's that. That's the Premier League. I really wish I could say something positive and uplifting to tell y'all that it's not. I feel like I'm Morgan Freeman in what's it called? I forgot the name of the movie. That prison. I don't know what the fuck I'm telling you guys. What was that movie? But anyways, there's I think I lost the point of that joke, but man, dude, how am I forgetting this movie? It's like an all-time movie too. Shawshank Redemption. So like, yeah, there's a scene in Shawshank Redemption when, Morgan Freeman is like, I wish I could tell you that he put up a good fight. I wish I could tell you that he got out clearly, but this isn't one of those stories. That's exactly how I feel about this one. It's just, I wish I could tell you someone's going to be, able to win, outplay Manchester City. I wish I could tell you someone's just going to have a strong start to the season and follow it through. I really wish I could tell you, but I just don't think it's one of those stories. At the end of the day, Manchester City is just fucking inevitable. That's the most annoying part of it. They're just inevitable. Like, even if they start rough, they somehow find ways to just get back in discussion. And then, unfortunately, the teams that are in front of them, they just start slipping off. And that's what happens in the Premier League. And you can't rest on your laurels in this league. Like, shit's going to happen. And so that's where we are at. But, yeah, that's the Premier League. Let me tell you guys about BellyUpSports. BellyUpSports is the internet sports bar. Go ahead and check out their website, www.bellyupsports.com, to read some great articles from great writers all across the country, from hockey, baseball, golf, soccer, you name it. BellyUpSports is the premier, not your average website. All right, guys. So before we wrap this show up, some games to watch this weekend. We got in Ligue 1, we got Brest versus Marseille. How is Roberto De Zerbi going to respond in his debut as the new manager of Marseille? And how is Brest, a team that had a very good season last year, how do they follow up with the season that they had before qualifying for Champions League? Well, we'll see how it goes. Stade Rennes versus Lyon. Do we see Lyon struggle again early on in the year, or are they going to be a strong team, keep their form from what they had as they concluded the season last year? We'll see that. In Serie A, we got Parma versus Fiorentina. I mean, David De Gea, are we going to see him make his debut? And then Bologna versus Udinese. The concerns that I have with Bologna are there concerns, or am I just talking out of my ass? I really hope that I am. Versus Udinese, who just did announce that Alexis Sanchez has made his return to the club. So very interesting to see how Bologna and Udinese perform. I think a very interesting matchup also, by the way. In La Liga, we got Real Betis versus Girona. Like I said, Real Betis is usually a really strong team. Johnny Cardoso, Girona, a team that had a very strong La Liga last year. We'll see how they respond to that. And Valencia taking on Barcelona. Hansi Flick's debut in La Liga as the manager for Barcelona. In the English Premier League, we got Ipswich Town taking on Liverpool. Arne Slot's debut as the manager of Liverpool, and also Ipswich Town's return to the Premier League. And what a team to be going up against. West Ham United versus Aston Villa. We got Unai Emery versus Lopetegui. We'll see how that goes. And the last match, because we're going to feature a third one for you guys because it's a juicy one. Chelsea versus Manchester City. What a fucking start to your season, Chelsea. But we'll see how this goes, man. Can this be the start that Chelsea fans need to see to get their year started? We'll see what happens, man. But all right. There's that. We'll go ahead and segue into wrapping up this show. All right, guys. That is episode 182, I think. I don't know. I've lost track at this point. But yes, thank you so much for listening. Give a shout out to BellyUpSports, man. Check them out, BellyUpSports.com. Follow them on Instagram and the X at BellyUpSports and at BellyUpMedia. Check out all the great articles that are being written. Obviously, a lot to recap with the Olympic Games, but we're also going into the NFL season. Preseason is going on. So if you guys want to get in the know of fantasy football, college football is also coming up. So if you guys want to get in the know of all that, go ahead and check out Belly Up Sports. They'll keep you up to date and give you some great odds going into this NFL season. As well, check out GolzTV, GolzTV. Great content over there at GolzTV. You'll find us there for sure. So go ahead and find us there, but also find some of the great soccer content over there at GolzTV. Follow them on Instagram at GolzTV and on the X at GolzT_TV. So you guys get to be in the know of what's going on over there at GolzTV. Shout out to Jose. Great to be partnering with him in that venture. Shout out to Roosevelt Spencer, man. He is the reason why you hear the intros and outros for this show. So I am really excited about all the things that Spencer does. We're looking to shake a few things up, but we'll see when that comes into play. But yeah, we love Spencer so much, man. He's the namesake for the Roosevelt Spencer's Player of the Year award. I'll give you guys a full update as to how we're going to approach the player. We're still going to do Player of the Year. But we'll also, next episode, I'll break down how exactly this, how we're going to start formatting this, since we're going to do it by season by season basis now. But we are still going to do a Player of the Year award, which Roosevelt Spencer is the namesake of that award. So get ready for that. Yeah, shout out to everybody. Thank you to everyone. Also, if you guys have been checking out our social media or just noticing some new things on the YouTube, or any of these social media platforms, it is because we got some cool graphics done, and that was by our great friend Harpy. Make sure you guys check her out at Sophia Artistic on the X. Sophia Artistic at the X. She does amazing graphics with a lot of content creators. She reached out to us. She said she wanted to give us some revitalization, and they gave us amazing for our social media. So we love them. So go ahead and check her out if you guys want some custom things done for your platforms, or for anything that you have that needs some customization, but especially in the graphics department. So thank you so much for listening. Catch us next week when we're back into full swing at Insert Name and See. So take care, guys.